Hello and welcome. I'm Kathy with Waste.Not.Upcycled. I'm a full-time teacher and a part-time reseller and upcycler. In today's video, I'm working on a collaboration with Sonnet's Creative Membership Networking Group. So all of us switched items from our stash and we were tasked with creating something fun with them. Take a peek at what I got. A big shout out to Lisa at the Bumblebee Corner. She's the one who sent me all these fun items. I love watching her YouTube videos, especially when she does her thrift hauls. We have the same taste. So here's what she sent me. So I sat on this box for a couple of weeks feeling pretty uncreative, but I switched my mindset. Instead of wanting to create one project for each item, I wanted to pull everything together and create one vignette using everything. I wanted green, I wanted earthy, and pulled everything in my creative space that was green. This CD holder was going to be the main riser, and I was going to go ahead and use my milk paint. I wanted everything green, and I did not have green milk paint, so I decided to add in some paint to make it the color I wanted. I had 10 minutes and knew I needed to sand this detail off. Once it sat for 10 minutes and I sanded off both sides with my hand sander, I went ahead and painted the whole thing with this beautiful green milk paint. I used my heat gun to go ahead and help it to crackle a little bit. Milk paint is something new that I've just started experimenting with, and I love how inconsistent it is. I go ahead and sand it down how I want it, and I have a couple IOD transfers that I wanted to add to this. If you are new to the transfer world, I highly recommend using IOD transfers. They are so easy to work with. As you can see, I just go ahead and place it down where I want it, rub over with it. You can use a transfer stick. I'm using a tool from my Cricut machine. And then as you can see, I go back over it and what's called varnish it to make sure that it is secure in its place. Go ahead and set this riser on the side, and I'm going to batch paint all of these different little items that she sent over to me. I want all of them to be green, so I'm first going to put a base coat of white, and I'm truly just using white paint from the house. Prior to painting this, I actually did a Google search on it. I like to do that with items that I purchase from the resale store as well to make sure that they aren't of great value. And this wasn't a huge value, so it was okay. Set all these things on the side to dry, and now those rings. I decided I was going to create nests using those rings. So I pulled together everything brown that I could. That's right, bird's nests. It was strange, but I wanted it to go in that vignette. I'm actually using from Sonnet's Maker Box, the stuffing. I've been trying to think of how I could best use that because I don't like to waste items. So I'm using that as a base, and you're gonna watch me go ahead and glue all of these random different items. It seems like a hot mess at first, but it's kind of cool how it all pulls together. After I use the filler, I go ahead and take Spanish moss. I definitely want some earthy stuff in there to pull it, and I go ahead and I glue that around that inside. Then, believe it or not, I'm taking fabric. I have old fabric that I always upcycle, and I wanted to pull that into the bird's nest so it has different textures. As I'm building this nest, I'm actually thinking of a bird's nest that was built on the garage of our house for 2 years. The birds actually used Easter grass that was pink, and it was just draping over their nest and we used to call it the party nest. It was so funny. So I guess this is my version of the party nest. So for this, I'm going ahead, I'm pulling in twine and wrapping that throughout it. And then I have an old wreath that's made out of branches. I cut up all those branches and I'm going ahead and I'm just placing those branches in random spots again, so it has that earthy feel. I know it looks like a donut, but sit tight. It's gonna pull together, I promise you. I pulled back out that Spanish moss, and anytime there was a space where I could see the metal, I glued more Spanish moss on it to fill it in. And the bird that I found is going to help make it look like a nest. And then I found these little, they were in a huge bag of fillers, jar fillers, and I'm not going to keep them this color. I'm actually going to go ahead and paint them yellow, but I think this is going to look pretty cool. I'm going to use this metal ring and the wooden rings that she gave me, and I'm just going to create a bunch of nests to put in the vignette. I'm loving all of these different nests, and they're all different and unique. Okay, we're going to put those on the side, and let's get to the next. So all the white paint is dry, and I had some leftover milk paint that I just wanted to use up. So I'm going to go ahead and slap that down on this as a base coat. I am completely drawn to planters that have moss on the top of it, and I wanted to recreate this look. So I have these awesome moss strips that I'm going to be using, but I want to change the color green a little bit darker, so I'm going to go over it with Everett Fusion paint. I'm not done. I'm going to add other colors as well, but I also wanted to paint the rest of the items in this Everett color. Remember in the beginning, I knew I was going with green, so I had all kinds of green paint there and was just experimenting with different color greens and pulling them in. You may notice the little yellow eggs that I painted up in the corner. Well, the funny thing is that a little bit of yellow was left on the paper to dry, and it got on the tin, and I just loved how it looked. So I added that same look throughout the whole tin. I'm pretty happy with how all of these different colors work together. So I have a couple more IOD transfers, and I want to go ahead and add a little bit more to this. They're secure. Now I will go over all my projects with Big Top, but I'm going to go ahead and secure this down. I'm simply going to go ahead and hot glue the strips all around. Knew I was going to go ahead and put green moss balls in here, but I wanted to go ahead and have a riser. So I glued down the green foam and I went ahead and put in those moss balls, but needed a little bit of something pretty and added a couple clips of florals. Now, I did not glue these in because I'm going to have this for sale and it comes together, but if somebody wants to switch it out, I want them to have that opportunity. Remember these little candle holders that were red? I painted them green. So I'm going to take the bottle brush tree idea and springify it. So I'm going to go ahead and glue in this little green foam. And then I have a little floral, a faux floral, that I'm going to go ahead and have popping out of this. Now, obviously I don't want that green foam showing, so that's when I'm going to pull that Spanish moss back in. When you are out at the thrift stores, I highly, highly recommend going into that floral department. I grab bags of that for really cheap. Okay, remember this frame? So this is actually a plastic frame, but by the time I get through with it, it's not going to look like plastic. I'm going to go ahead and give it a base coat of white and then let that dry. And what I love about this is it already has those beautiful flowers. I go back in with Carriage House Fusion paint, and I'm very purposeful in not painting the whole thing. I want that white to pop through as well as the brown. In fact, I wanted a little bit more white, so I go ahead and take white and I kind of dab in different spots so it pops through a little bit more. I really love how the brown, the white, and the green are all coming together. For those of you who do not know the painted photographer, Connie does an amazing job with her paintings. So I purchased this a while back and I really wanted to showcase her cute little bird in the teacup. I thought it would be so perfect for my earthy vignette. I'm going to cut it out and frame it. This looks too cute. So I had painted that candlestick and added a transfer and roughed it up a little bit. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to showcase that nest on top of this candle. I'm going to glue down that bird, and then I painted those little bowl fillers I had talked about earlier. I painted them using my absolute favorite color right now, the Buttermilk Cream by Fusion. They were kind of tricky, so at first I hand painted them, and then I actually just took a Ziploc bag, dumped a little bit of paint in it, dumped all of those, and then kind of swirled them around, and that painted them so nicely. Okay, I'm going to hot glue this to the top of the candlestick. I added those little eggs to the rest of mine, and it is time to put everything together. So when it comes to creating vignettes for like my booth or decorating, I really like to work with all different heights, and this was the perfect piece. So I set that down knowing I was going to use the top of it. Again, I like all different levels in my vignettes, and I knew that I wanted it to get pretty high up. So I'm going to go ahead and place that tall nest holder. Just added a small little wreath I had purchased at a resale store because I just love to pull in all of those greens. Okay, so the top is just about finished. There's a little spot I'm going to add to a little bit later. I am just absolutely loving this nest with the bird. It is just so cute in the sunlight. So the bottom is perfect for my two little faux plants. I'm going to go ahead and just put those side by side. So I have this thing for decorating in threes, but I think it's going to balance out okay because I'm going to go ahead and I have all of those other nests to work with. I'm going to stick the nests all on that inside. Now this is a display that I actually am going to go ahead and put into my booth, probably the one in Antioch. So if you're looking to purchase any of these and you're nearby in the Lake County, Illinois area, I'm definitely going to have this vignette up there. I think I want to fill that little spot in the back, so I'm just going to scoop my nests over a tiny bit so it's filled all the way in. And then I have a couple little extra greenery type things that I'm going to fill in my vignette with. I'm going to fill in that, just some flowers I had, and then that top space I have a little moss ball that I'm going to stick there just for greenery. It's looking really cute so far, but I need the showstopper. So I'm going to go ahead and stick this adorable frame with Connie's picture inside of it. I am so pleased with how all of this pulled together. It definitely helped me to switch my mindset instead of thinking of a bunch of different projects that I had to create, and kind of think of it as one theme and how each object could pull into that theme. I had so much fun with this upcycle. Again, a very special thank you to Lisa from the Bumblebee Corner, who sent in all of these fun items that I could upcycle into one vignette. There are a bunch of different creators that are involved in this collaboration, so definitely click on the link down below. There's a playlist of all the different creators, and you can see the fun items that they got. I mean, there are some crazy items that were sent out to each other. You definitely want to see what they were upcycled into. I sent my thrifted items over to the Vintage Hen and Chick. My friend Shelley is so creative, so definitely go follow her and watch what she created with the items I sent. Thanks for watching today's video. If you are not yet a subscriber, you definitely want to hit that bell, because next week I'm going to take you behind the scenes and teach you how to make those fun upcycled crayons that I absolutely love to make. It'll be a great way to learn how to make these spring gifts.